Hey everyone, this is the Intentional Gaming Supercut. When I started this series, it came from a really simple question. Why do I sometimes sit down to play a game that I should love and just not feel it? Somewhere along the way, gaming started to feel like another thing on a checklist instead of something that refueled me and brought joy. Intentional gaming became my way of finding that spark again, slowing down, being honest about what actually makes this hobby fun, and reconnecting and rediscovering the part of gaming that feels meaningful. A bunch of you asked for a full Supercut version of the series, and this is it. Every episode together in one place, all time coded down below. I can't thank you enough for the support on this series, whether you've been here since the episode's first published or if you're discovering it for the first time. I hope it gives you something to think about and maybe helps you enjoy the time you spend playing games a little more. Thanks for watching and enjoy the series. Many times I have sat down to play a game that I am excited for, and only 30 minutes in, maybe an hour in, I'm wondering, what am I doing? Am I even enjoying this right now? Case in point, I just finished Tomb Raider 2013. Love that game. Started Rise, and I'm like halfway through Rise, and I'm kind of like, I'm not really feeling this right now. Why do I keep booting this up? I know I want to beat it, but like, is it really worth not super enjoying this downtime, this hobby? So today we're going to talk about that, picking and figuring out games that really respect your time and your feelings and why all that's important, in my opinion. If you've watched the channel for a while, you'd know a year and a half ago, I shifted everything. I've started to really explore this more intentional route, and I wanted to catalog a bunch of this stuff that I've learned, put it into one playlist and kind of condense it to where you could just sort of see all the tips and the things that I've learned and share what you have learned as well. So calling it Intentional Gaming, playlist will be linked down below. And here's the deal. You owe it to yourself to play games that respect your time. I do believe the moment you start holding your hobbies to a higher standard, your like free time to this higher standard, and figuring out if you really are enjoying how you're spending the time or if you're just doing it robotically out of habit and you may not be enjoying it, that will change everything for you if you start to really lean into that. Best place to start, the feelings test. Last November, Epos Fox shared a Reddit post with me about a parent who let their kid play Roblox. Their kid was at the age where it was just like pure obsession. It's all they wanted to do. But the kid didn't actually even enjoy playing Roblox. They weren't having a good time during the sessions, but it was all they wanted to play. So the parent did something really simple. They just asked their kid, hey, before we play today, how do you expect to feel when you're done? And then when they would finish playing the game, the parent asked, did you actually feel that way? And it sounds so stupid and simple, I know, but it really is important. Like, if you do the same a few nights a week before you sit down for that session, you boot up that regular game, what do you think you're going to feel like at the end of the session? Like, what do you want to feel like? And then at the end of the session, check in with yourself. Did you feel that way? Was it fun? Was it enjoyable? Did you like the way you spent that time? And the moment you start doing that, you figure out pretty quickly, maybe I'm not into this. Or the big one, maybe I'm not enjoying this right now. So why does any of this matter? Why is it important to be a little more intentional with the games that we pick and how we spend our time? Well, looking at my channel demographics, most of you are college age, out of college, or kind of that young family age. And as work and family and life and responsibilities grow, you just have less free time. When we're tired, when we're exhausted, it's pretty easy to default to old habits, to old genres, to things that are fairly simple. And that can lead to you playing many sessions where you leave off worse than when you started. The goal isn't perfection. No hobby can guarantee you're gonna have the greatest time ever. But the whole point of the feelings test is just to show you which games give back to you most of the time and which ones drain you. My story on all of this, multiplayer versus single player. I grew up playing games. It was a big part of my life, and I always loved games. But there were periods of time, middle and high school, where I gamed way less. In college, I gamed a lot, and then after college, I didn't game as much. It kind of ebbs and flows with my life. But I got way into multiplayer gaming around the time that Halo 3 came out. And when I got to college and I had access to really good broadband internet, for the first time ever, I just got obsessed with the 360 era multiplayer games. It was incredible. It was just the best times ever. And I kept sitting in that same loop, playing multiplayer FPS games, chasing the feelings that I had on Halo 3 and COD 4 and Gears of War 3. And over the years, I was having less and less fun. The games changed. Their focus shifted. Everything went towards an engagement-optimized world. And I want to say, from about 2017 on, other than Titanfall 2, which is like the greatest, love that game, I just wasn't enjoying the stuff I was playing as much. And I started just playing it out of habit because I was chasing the feeling, that incredible sense of joy that I had from the 360 era. And it only took me, about 6 years to figure out, maybe I should take a break from some of these multiplayer games, dive back into the single player side, do some games that really respect my time. And it changed everything. And last year, I was pretty careful with the games that I picked and what I played, and I enjoyed gaming way more than ever before. And it was just because I was checking in with myself to say, hey, if I'm not liking it, it is okay to take a break. One big caveat here on the multiplayer side. If you have friends to play with, that in and of itself is a big deal. As you get older, you're probably well aware of this, scheduling time to play with your friends is harder. And the more responsibilities everybody gets, the tougher it is to coordinate those times. For me, it turned into just 24/7 solo queue, and it's just a different environment. All of these games moved towards esports for a while, and then Battle Royale for a while, and then the casual, chill solo queue nature kind of left. You can still have a lot of fun, but boy, you gotta come prepared, depending on the game that you're gonna play, to really give it your all when, after a long, busy day at work, maybe you just wanna go goof around in some social playlist or something like that. So the feelings test is important, but remember, if you have friends and community, that is special. Enjoy that time. Doing just about anything with friends is more fun. You can go to a grocery store with a group of friends and it's enjoyable. So don't overlook that side of things. It's an important element here. But when you are looking to build that higher standard list, think about games that often leave you satisfied, the type of genres that you enjoy, the big experiences, the mountaintop favorite games that you have, and then also your personal comfort food games. So for me, last year was Half-Life 2. Part of Metro Exodus. I got through Cyberpunk 2077. I did Elden Ring, Into Shadow of the Erd Tree. I've got my full list over on backlogged.com. I'll leave my account linked there. This is a really cool site, by the way, and it's part of the fun of picking games that respect your time even more and being a little bit more intentional with how you play them. This is like Letterboxd, if you've ever used that app. It's a film app where you review films and the community talks about them. This is really cool because every time I finish a game, I write about a paragraph of text. I say when I beat the game, and I can go back and look and say, oh, that's everything I beat last year. And here's how I was feeling at the time that I beat those games. It is a very cool experience and honestly helps me enjoy games a lot more. And one of the biggest, most important points I think of this whole video, let's say you get halfway through a game and you're not feeling it, you're ready to take a break. You don't have to quit forever. You can say to yourself, look, I'm not enjoying this right now. Maybe I'll come back down the road. So similar to where I'm at right now, I'm probably gonna finish Rise of the Tomb Raider, but I may just put a pin in it. I might say, hey, I'm not feeling this right now. I'm not gonna force this. I'm gonna take a break. Maybe I come back later. Maybe I don't. I do a bit of research before most games that I play. I try and figure out how long they are to beat. If I want to go totally blind, I don't do that, but for the most part, I know I can finish a 10-hour game fairly easily. I really have to be into a game that's like 30 or 40 hours in order to finish it. I'm committing to something that would take months rather than something that would take weeks. And if I figure out, halfway through a 10 or 12-hour game that I'm kind of done, I just move on. No guilt, no pressure, no stress. And you can say, maybe not right now. There probably will be a different time in life where maybe this resonates, or maybe it's done forever. And the last story to share, one of the best ways you can enjoy the hobby more is to actually do it less, maybe take a break. So when I was in college, like I said, I had good internet access and I could play Halo online, but every summer I'd come home and I'd work, and where I lived had terrible internet access. It was not good enough to game. We're talking like 400 MS ping. It was really rough for the most part. So every summer I'd get a 3-month break for multiplayer games. And that made it so exciting to go back in the fall and to play again. So I really never burned out. I never got bored. I always loved it. But during those 3 months, I got to do a bunch of different things. And that's what I'm going to encourage here. Gaming is one hobby. It's not all of them. Enjoy other aspects and other hobbies. That can be one of the best ways to refresh your enjoyment for these games and to also see clearly with that feelings test if you're actually just enjoying this hobby or if you maybe need to scale it back slightly. So if you want to try this in your life, I would say just experiment. Give the feelings test a shot for a week. Notice which games improve your mood, which ones get you excited to hop back on, and it's okay to quit mid-session if you're not having fun. You can't always guarantee it's going to be a good time. Multiplayer stuff is dynamic, so it's up in the air if you're going to get thrashed or if you're going to dunk on other people. And sometimes if it's an esport game or something skillful, you have to put in the practice and the discipline. It's not always going to be fun. Just know, as long as you're okay with that, let's say it's an esport, you're climbing the ladder in StarCraft 2, if you know that the grind is worth it and you enjoy that grind, then it is perfectly okay. I'll be working on putting out episodes for this series about every week, so check the playlist down below and let me know whatever tips that you have or you've discovered along the way for games that respect your time. I appreciate you watching. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you again very soon. Gaming is a really cool hobby, but I won't lie. Life is expensive. Cost of living just keeps going up, and the price of this hobby has gone up a lot the last few years. 70 to 80 bucks for a new standard game. Probably has a battle pass or a microtransaction or two thrown in there. 650 bucks for a pro console. The Switch just got a price bump 8 years into its lifespan. I love my Switch, but it never got a discount, and it's such a bummer to see it going up in price, not down. And so I figured for episode 2 of Intentional Gaming, we can talk about the concept of patient gaming. And that's a pretty big phrase. There's a subreddit. There's a lot of different meanings for it. Specifically, what I want to talk about is just how you can use some tools to find games on better deals, some practices where you can spend less but get more enjoyment out of what you already have, and briefly just talk about what happens to me, okay? Like the FOMO trap that I always find myself falling into. This whole Intentional Gaming series is based around the feelings test. So if you don't know what that is, go check out episode 1, then swing back here. Because if you're having fun, if you're enjoying your time, if you've got the means to do it, enjoy the hobby however you see fit. That's ultimately the goal here. Now, let's just start with the FOMO trap. I am always looking at new gear. I'm always wanting new gear. There's not a time in my life where I don't have in the back of my head something that if I just had a few extra bucks, I would love to spend money on. And I've been trying to slow myself down here the last 3 or 4 years and go, wait. There's plenty of stuff you already own that you're not getting use out of. I've wanted a Steam Deck for many years. I still want a Steam Deck. But I had an epiphany. So much of the gear and the software and the things that I want is I actually am craving buying the idea that I'll have more time to play it than actually just owning that piece of software. Steam Deck example would be like, if I just had that, I would totally find, another hour, maybe hour and a half a day to play that thing. And the truth is that's not the case. I don't have much extra time. And as much as I think a Steam Deck would be cool and maybe someday I'll pick it up, I have a Switch and I have plenty of unfinished games on my Switch that I want to roll credits on. Plenty of games I want to play again. And so this FOMO trap, when we live in this modern tech world and there's content about everything always flooding us, take a quick second and just ask yourself, do I really want that? Will I really use it? Or am I buying the idea that I'll have time to use it? And there's nothing wrong with buying games new, especially if it is a title you're hyped on. I tried to think about it over the last 3 or 4 years. What games did I buy on release? And the only 3 I can really think of right now, Shadow of the Erdtree, Echoes of Wisdom, and Tears of the Kingdom. All 3 of those, loved buying them on launch. Probably could have waited for Erdtree, but it was fun and I knew what I was getting into. But everything else I've been trying hard to buy on a Steam seasonal sale or wait for a publisher sale. Nintendo's always difficult because you just rarely get deals on some of their things. But that's a good habit to get into. If you're on the PC side, start using the wish list function on Steam. Basically, you'll get a notification anytime a game on your wish list goes on sale. Also, you can anticipate the spring, the summer, the autumn, the fall. I probably already said that. I'm a little sick right now, so I can't remember. But those 4 seasonal big sales, you can do most of your game purchases around those dates, as long as you're not trying to play the latest and the greatest. Oh, I just remember one more, Helldivers 2. Multiplayer is a weird one. I'm going to go off on a side tangent here. Sometimes you have to be on the front edge with multiplayer, because if you miss out on those first 6 to 12 months, sometimes that game's in a different state. It's in a different place. It may not still have that same community or vibe. And so multiplayer, you got to do a little more research on. But if it's a single player game, wow, there is so much benefit in waiting. So the wishlist feature is great. There's a site called istthereanydeal.com. It tracks all these different stores. From my knowledge, I don't think it does any of the gray market key sellers. I think it's all legitimately publisher outlets, but I don't really use it all that much. I've just heard a few friends talking about it. But what I do like, Deku deals, DEKU deals, like the Deku tree in Legend of Zelda. It is an eShop sales alert site. So if you go there right now, I had no idea, but Celeste, it's $5. Fury is $4. And the eShop is a place I rarely go to. It runs horrific on the Switch. And I don't know, I don't ever think to browse it on my computer, but I do now have a bookmark for Deku deals. And that's something fun to browse and just throw a few wishlist games in there from time to time. Now, one more thing that I do use when I am picking out a game or a game that I know I want to buy and play, I use howlongtobeat.com. I talk about this site all the time. It's a really cool tool that gives you, from the community stance, how long it will take you to beat the game. A normal playthrough, a full completionist playthrough, and it's an average from playtime submitted by the community, from the player base. And that is so helpful for me because I'm trying really hard to pick games that kind of fit into my schedule and my life. I love 10-hour games. 20-hour games are great, but anything above 20 hours, I know it's going to take me flat forever. The start of this year, I replayed through The Legend of Dragoon on PlayStation 1, one of my favorite games ever as a kid. I knew it was going to be a 40-hour game, and so it took me from December until April, because I played 30 minutes here and there each night before going to bed, and it was fun. It was a nice slow burn. But it's helpful to know when you're picking up games, if you're buying a bunch of 50, 60-hour games, you might feel overloaded. One thing that I just hate is buying stuff I don't get the value out of, the stuff I don't use enough, and then I feel guilty that I bought it. So I typically am looking at how long to beat unless I want to go in totally blind. A game like Tears of the Kingdom, I did not want to know how long it would take. I just wanted to experience that one myself. So you don't always have to use the tool, but that's why Tears of the Kingdom took me a little over a year to beat, and I put 60 hours into that playthrough, and it was so great and so worth it. The last thing I will say is infinite choice is tricky. At least with me, I get decision fatigue a lot. Take something like Game Pass. It's such a cool tool and it is amazing. But there's a lot of stuff on there, and if I have too many games going at once, I typically don't make a bunch of progress on any of them. I'm in a phase where I'm trying out lots of games, but not really finishing them or getting meaningfully deep into them. So if I'm trying to knock out games that I want to finish and hit credits, I'm usually only playing about 1 or 2 at a time and plugging away at those as I go. Those are like story games. If you're playing more arcade games, session games, multiplayer games, those you can mix it up. But if you really are trying to make meaningful progress, to knock out more games from your backlog or get that sense of accomplishment from finishing games that you've bought, I think limiting choice is a little helpful. One point that I'll make is I've been playing a lot of older consoles lately. I am borrowing a Wii from a family member. I never owned a Wii back in the day. But this is so much fun to play a system that you can pick up on eBay for $50. You can get some of the best games for the system for $10 or $15. So do remember, there's a wave of nostalgia happening on the internet right now. But I also think there's other reasons. Some of those old games were just there to give you the most fun product imaginable, not to make sure the shareholders were as happy as they could be. I feel like that scale has shifted quite a bit here in the last few years. And if I were to just go off on a mini tangent, I think the PlayStation 2, the Wii, and the 3DS are some of the best retro consoles you can pick up right now and just have an incredible time. The Wii has some of the best virtual console games out there, and they were all handcrafted and a lot of love put into it. So if you want to play the Ocarina of Time, I don't know why I called it but OOT, the best version other than the 3DS remake is on the Wii VC. The Wii U one has a bunch of input lag. The Nintendo Switch Online one also has a bunch of input lag. And there's just something so cool about a console that can play all of the Wii's library, all of the GameCube's library, and then you have a bunch of VC games that are amazing. The PlayStation 2 is one of the best of all time. My personal favorite console, I think, of my whole life. I threw in a solid state drive, soft modded it, and I've got game backups of my whole library, so I never have to swap a disc. And I can just sit down and play, and it is so refreshing, especially if you didn't experience that era of gaming, to go back and within seconds, no updates, no battle passes, nothing. They just throw you straight into the fun. And the 3DS is great because it's kind of the last handheld console that was just handheld. I love the Switch, Steam Deck's cool, but there is something fantastic about games that were truly designed for that hardware on the go with that player in mind. Okay, this all started with the downside of infinite choice, and I don't know how we ended up here, but I'm just so passionate and enjoying these older consoles right now. But do be aware, a lot of times when people get the old consoles, they start doing the homebrew. Be careful. Too much choice can make it not that much fun. I own the stuff that I want to play. And there are some games that are totally off limits because the retro collecting scene got ridiculous since 2020. Like, I want Twilight Princess HD, but there is no way I'm going to go pay all that money, so I'm just going to be sat here waiting until it shows up at a Goodwill or something like that. But plenty of these, like, handhelds that you get from online come with 1,000 games. That's not always as good as it sounds. For me personally, I'm continually like, oh, there's something better I could be playing. And that feeling just gets to me, and it's hard to just soak into it. Rather than, hey, I found Super Mario Galaxy 2 online for $8. I'm going to order it. I've got the box, we'll throw it in, and I know I'm going to get through that game start to finish, and it's going to feel so good. So, all of this to say, go back to the feelings test. If you're enjoying buying new releases, sweet. But just do a little homework, a little research, and ask yourself, is it worth spending the premium to get this right now? Or if I wait a little bit, will I enjoy it more later? I don't think it matters, honestly, as long as you are having a good time. But in the last 2 years, 2.5 years, I don't know, I kind of love games more when I feel like I got it on a deal. I played through Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. It was $5 on a Steam sale. It was super fun. I probably wouldn't love that game the way that I did or do if I bought it for, $40 or $50. No way. But kind of this feeling of like, hey, I got a great game for $5. It was fun. I rolled credits. I can't quite explain it, but there's just something meaningful about that. Anyway, what do you think about patient gaming? What do you think about those deal sites? Are there any that I missed? Do you have any practices or anything that you do to escape the FOMO trap when it comes to buying or desiring new gear and new stuff? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I'll see you again very soon. What is good, everybody, and welcome back to Intentional Gaming. This is episode 3, The Power of Taking a Break. There's only 2 more episodes after this, 4 and 5. I wanted this series to have a beginning, a middle, and an end, not to be some endless, we just make videos about this forever kind of a thing. If you haven't seen the first video about the feelings test, go back, watch it, because that's pretty much the foundation of all this stuff. Taking breaks is important. I love gaming, but I'm going to tell you what. I go through seasons. And life is all about seasons. There are going to be times where you really enjoy something and times where you just don't. And I find myself oftentimes getting locked into a loop, a routine, without even realizing it. And it takes a life event for me to realize that I've been locked in a loop, for me to sort of do an internal self-check, right? To read the lights on the dashboard and go, maybe this habit that I've just done routinely for years isn't serving me. Maybe I don't want to do it anymore. Maybe I want to shift how it fits into my life. And that is super important. The best story I can give about this is, like, throughout my life, gaming has always kind of been there, but it's ebbed and it's flowed. It's been there along with me. It hasn't been my life. It's been a part of life. And when I was in high school, I was racing mountain bikes. I really didn't play hardly any games. Other than Halo 2 and Halo 3, the years between 04 and probably 2011-ish, I just wasn't that into the hobby. I was super focused on real life and other things, and that was really good, and I'm very thankful for that. Then once I got to college, I finally had high-speed internet for the first time. Where I lived growing up was out in the country, had terrible internet, so really could only play Xbox Online if I went to a friend's house, and we play Halo 2 and Halo 3 multiplayer split screen online. And once I got to college and I could play 360 online whenever I wanted, that was unbelievable. It was the coolest experience, and I just loved it. But I would come home during the summers because I had a summer job, and the bad internet was back. Couldn't play Halo 3 or Reach or Gears of War or Call of Duty online when I was home. We're talking like 500 to 700 MS ping if it wouldn't even disconnect. So it was a good time to step away and to just not play. I made a series way back in the day, if you remember, it's called Replay Reviews, where I would look at your theater files in Halo, Reach, and Halo 3, and we'd talk through the replay and the gameplay, and it was super fun because I got to still kind of keep a foot in the Halo world without playing, and it built this immense desire to play the game online. So when I would go back to school in the fall, all of a sudden gaming was this immense treat. It was something I had looked forward to, and I am now in a situation where I've pretty much got constant access to gaming available, whether it's a handheld or it's a PC. The internet's always there. I don't have the time anymore. I've grown up and gotten older, and I've forgotten some of the power of taking a break. Burnout and drain out are 2 different things, and I love this term, drain out. A family member talked about it because they play piano all the time. They practice all the time. Incredible pianist. And I regularly ask, hey, do you get burned out when you practice and play that much? And the answer is no, I don't burn out, but I do drain out. And it just means the energy tank goes down. They don't lose that deep core resonance with that hobby or that passion, but they have run the car so hard, all the lights on the dashboard are showing that they just are so drained out, they don't want to do it anymore. And maybe you're going through something similar right now with your day job, with your hobbies. Maybe it's the state of life that you're in right now. And I'm here to say it's really important to take a break. I don't even really know, like, this YouTube channel is about a lot of stuff these days. It's got gaming as like sort of the connective tissue between the footage and stuff, but I don't even know how gaming is going to fit in my life moving forward. I really like games, but I'm in a moment right now where I'm kind of like, I'm excited to do some other hobbies as we come here into the fall. I want to take more pictures. The weather's cooler. I get to go mountain bike and hike, and I want to focus back on music. And I'm now at a stage in life where I can listen to that desire to sort of shift and do something differently and feel good about that and not feel like giving up gaming or gaming less is a defeat or a loss. I see it as a good evolution. Now, let's say you're still loving games. Let's get like really laser focused in here. But maybe you don't like the genre that you've been playing for a long time. Multiplayer was it for me. That was all I really touched from 2014-ish till last year. I played some single player stuff, don't get me wrong. I still enjoyed a few single player things throughout the years. Never talked about it here. It was just multiplayer. And I'm going to tell you what, I totally burned out on it. I don't like the state of multiplayer right now, at least for FPS things. And I didn't even really realize it until I played through Fallout 4 last spring, watched the Fallout show, and it was like, oh, what am I doing, dude? Let's just take a break. Let's step back. Let's take a break. You can apply that same logic to anything in life because that locked in loop thing I described at the very beginning, I almost never notice my patterns until a big life shift happens. I'll shoot straight. It's really stressful right now. There are hard things going on, like just difficult family things, and everybody has stress. Everybody has challenges, but I'm telling you, I'm in a season of life right now that feels a little bit more friction full, like it's got more friction happening than previous ones, and it's causing me to do a lot of reflecting. When I get sick, when I go on a vacation, when I do anything that breaks my normal loop, I have eureka moments where my brain is finally able to go, I don't know why I've continued to do that thing every single day just because I figured like that was who I was. That was part of me, right? And for many people, maybe that is logging in every single day to Discord, to playing that multiplayer game with your friends, to grinding that battle pass, to getting that dailies. Maybe it's something different. I don't know. Maybe it's getting fast food all the time because it's just easy and it makes you feel good. And you start to realize, oh, well, maybe this isn't that great. Maybe I don't feel good. Maybe I feel better getting a salad or something or whatever. I don't know. Maybe that was a really terrible second example, but I'm just thinking off the top of my head here. Breaks help by revealing what you actually miss. Maybe it's a different genre. Maybe it's not gaming at all. Maybe it's an entirely new hobby, reading, fitness, whatever. Breaks can show you that you don't necessarily need as much gaming as you thought. That's okay, and that's really good. Breaks don't mean quitting, they mean making space, and you can always come back if it feels right, if the timing is correct. And I don't have a one shoe fits all kind of answer here, but I will say, if you let yourself have those seasons, if you let yourself let go of some of the passions and the hobbies and the interests that you thought were completely core to you, in order to make room for some new things, you will experience mega growth. In my life, there's been like multiple eras and seasons and things where I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm chasing. I'm going to go after it. And then that slow process of realizing, like, I've had a good time with this. I've taken it pretty far, but maybe it's time to set my sights in a different direction, to kind of evolve and move on. Not say goodbye to this necessarily, but to have it fit in my life in a different way. Sometimes it is good to just straight up say goodbye, especially if it's a routine or a habit that's not serving you. Cutting ties can be very healthy. In the terms of gaming, maybe take a break if you're not having fun. Maybe try a different genre altogether, or maybe just do it a whole lot less. One of the best ways to reinvigorate like love for something is to honestly do other stuff and have a diverse set of hobbies and interests and passions. That's what I think. I could be completely wrong on all of this, okay? This is just my thinking over the last year and a half. So let me know what your thoughts are on this and any ideas, tips, experiences that you've been through. Thanks for helping make this series such a fun one to create for. I appreciate you all. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you again very soon. What is good, everybody, and welcome back to Intentional Gaming. This is episode 4, and I want to talk about the joy of replaying games. In the last episode, we talked about taking a break from games and how that can, reignite a passion for the hobby. But a natural continuation of that idea is going back to some things that you know you love and replaying them. And you already know that they're fun because you probably enjoyed it the first time, and you probably enjoyed it enough to consider it for a replay. I think replaying games is one of the most underrated parts of this hobby. We live in a time now where we've got access to the internet 24/7, and that kind of news cycle is always telling us fresh is better. Get the brand new release. There's always a Another big budget game coming out that you're supposed to play, another sale where you feel like you're missing out if you don't buy, and the worst, when all of your friends are hopping on the newest game, you buy it, they play it for a few weeks, and then they bounce, and they're already playing the next one before you really got the joy and the value you hoped to get out of the one you just purchased. But replaying games, well, that flips all of it on its head. Instead of chasing something new, replaying lets you lean into what has already worked for you. It's a dependable joy. You kind of already know the vibe, you know the mechanics, especially the ones that click with you, and sometimes that's exactly what you need when life is busy or stressful. Sometimes you don't want to gamble on a game that you aren't sure about. If it's going to be fun, is it going to be worth it? All that stuff. So for me, replaying games gives some peace of mind, it saves money, it saves time, and honestly, it almost always passes the feelings test. Because if a game resonated with you before, chances are it will resonate with you once again. And if you don't know what the feelings test is, just go check out episode 1 in this playlist. So let me give you a few examples of games that I've replayed and have really stuck with me. Half-Life 2, one of the best games ever made. I played it when it originally came out. It took forever to download on our horrific satellite internet. Even though I got the discs from the store, it was the dawn of Steam, so I only got to Ravenholm on our old family computer way back in the day. But then 2011 came around, and when I had my own rig good enough to play it, I beat it. Loved it. It was incredible. Last year was the first time I did a full replay of that game. And what is that, 13 years, right? And it absolutely blew me away how good that game still is. I was astounded at how well the mechanics hold up, the artwork holds up, the vibes, the gunplay, the pacing, the atmosphere. It is so good, and it was like playing it for the first time. Cyberpunk 2077. I played it at launch, like a lot of people. And while I enjoyed parts of it, yeah, it was kind of a mess. I was on a 1080 Ti at the time. Great card, but yeah, I was near the end of the hardware they were targeting with that thing. So it was not a great PC experience. There was no ray tracing or anything like that. So last year, I picked up Phantom Liberty and I did a fresh playthrough. Went through the DLC. And it was like a completely different game. They fixed so many of the issues, the performance was a lot better, and that Phantom Liberty DLC was so good. I felt like that was what the entire game could have been or should have been or whatever. And that replay made me appreciate 2077 in a way that I never did on that first playthrough. Mass Effect 2, one of my favorite replayable games of all time. Back in college, I remember playing it just kind of endlessly. I probably played through like the first half of that game 3 or 4 times in a row because I just couldn't get enough. And then last year, I replayed it again, and it was great. It didn't quite live up to the hype that my mind had built it up to be, but it still was really good. I talk about Halo here a lot. I mean, plenty of you have probably gone through those campaigns many times. A standout is my freshman year of college. My roommate and I in the dorm room played it, split screen co-op legendary, on a little tiny 17-inch TV. It was ridiculous. It was super small, but it was so much fun. Final Fantasy X is one of my all-time favorite games. I'm in this like weird moment of like, is Ocarina of Time the favorite or this one? And I've played through Final Fantasy X a few times, but I will say, I don't replay it constantly. I intentionally leave some long gaps between playthroughs because I don't really want to burn out on that magic. I want it to kind of stay special. And if I take a big enough break, it's like sometimes taking a big break from watching a favorite TV show. You go back years later and it feels fresh. It feels magical again. Some games are just pure replay comfort food. Titanfall 2's campaign. Probably 5 times, I guess. It's short, it's punchy, but it's so fun every time. Mirror's Edge's campaign is just endlessly replayable. I don't even know how many times I've hit credits, but I love that game. Call of Duty 4's campaign and Modern Warfare 2's same deal. Always fun to kind of go back to. Some are just occasional treats like Metroid Prime. I beat it in 2019, and then when Remastered came out, I played through that and it was super fun. It's not a game I'll ever like replay yearly, but every few years I fire it up when the mood is right and it blows me away all over again. Then you got games like Skyrim. How many of you have like a bajillion Skyrim playthroughs? I've probably started at least 7 different playthroughs over the years, each with a different character, maybe a little bit different path, and every single time I discover something new. And no, I didn't finish those save files. I'm not gonna do 7 50-hour runs. That's not really the point, but just when the urge is there to hop back into Skyrim, pull it up, start a character, get far. You know, I've hit credits twice in that game, I think. And that's perfectly fine. That's some straight up great value. And I could keep going. Astrobot, I platinumed in December, and I'm kind of ready for a replay right now. Link's Awakening on the Switch. I rolled credits when that game came out and immediately fired up a new save because it just hit perfectly at that moment in my life. I don't have footage of it, but Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 are exceptional. I've replayed through those many times. Celeste, I've only finished once, but I have like 4 different save files that have gotten to the end. I love that game. Super Meat Boy, another great platformer. And I guess the point is, if a game was meaningful to you once, there's a good chance it will be meaningful again. This is where the feelings test comes back in. That's where you check how you feel before playing and then after. And with replays, that test is pretty much automatic. You already know what you're signing up for, and I bet 9 times out of 10, you're probably gonna have a good time. And a big secret, you don't need to finish, especially with a replay. Sometimes just dipping your toe back in for a few hours is great. Maybe it's just a couple of missions from Titanfall 2 or a few hours of Skyrim. Replays give you that flexibility. Now, I am not the kind of player who does challenge runs. I'm not an achievement hunter style player. I don't do no-hit runs or those 100% completion things. But I do sometimes like to change things up. Mass Effect, for example. First time I played through that series, I was a soldier, which is like the really basic class in the game. Then I saw a YouTuber running the Vanguard build in Mass Effect 2, charging at enemies with the Geth shotgun all charged up and just blasting them point blank. And then I replayed the game right away after I saw that, and it was so much fun and a completely different combat experience. Other times, the twist is just bumping up the difficulty or exploring a different build or a different class. And sometimes I just play it exactly the same way I did before, because that's what feels good. I do that most of the time, for the most part. Replaying games has become one of the most intentional ways that I play these days. It does save money. There's something really satisfying about getting more value out of what you already own. It feels good to know you're not just buying the next shiny thing out of a habit. And the second thing is it can save time. You don't really waste hours on something that may not click. You already know the game is going to deliver, and that peace of mind is worth it, especially when your free time is more limited. And honestly, it feels great to beat a game again and know you squeezed even more joy out of it. There's always that part of my brain that's telling me you got to buy something new, and it's hard to shut that part of the brain up. There's always like a little Christmas list in my head of like a game that I want or I'm waiting for on sale or it's on the wish list or something. But when I pick something to replay and I stick with it, it's pretty easy to like not worry about that FOMO. That part of the brain gets a little bit quieter. I've been doing this the last probably month or two, just playing my Switch. It sat on the shelf for probably a year and a half. It was one of my favorite consoles, but I've intentionally been trying to get more value out of it. Finish the games that I got halfway through or replay some stuff that I hadn't, gone through in quite a while. And it's been nice. It's like rediscovering the system all over again. Now, replaying stuff isn't everything. Seriously, you can't discover new great experiences by just sticking with what you already know. And discovery is a huge part of what makes this hobby so special. But let's be real. A lot of us probably have enough games to keep us occupied for many, many years. And that gets even longer if you factor in replays, like the games that you do want to go through once again. I just think there's a balance, right? Mix some replays in with the new experiences. Use them when you need comfort food, if you're trying to save some money, or you just want to revisit something that really resonated with you. When I was a kid, I was super happy gaming. I think a large part of it was I didn't have disposable income. I couldn't just go buy another game. It was something you would have to like put on a birthday request or a Christmas list or something. And so I would just replay what I had, and I just loved the collection that I had at the time. Even if it was just maybe 1 or 2 games that you got that year, there was a deep appreciation for it. And so if a game keeps calling you back, that is worth kind of celebrating. This whole series is just about figuring out what resonates best with you and like leaning into those things. And so at the end of the day, replaying a game is proof that this hobby isn't always about doing what is new. Half-Life 2, Mass Effect 2, Final Fantasy X, etc., all that stuff. These are games that mean something to me, and every time I replay them, I remember why. Your list is going to be totally different. Would love to know what those games are. Let me know about it down in the comments below. So just don't overlook your favorites. It's okay to try new stuff, but also remember, your favorites are your favorites for a reason. So thanks so much for watching. If you missed any of the episodes, the playlist will be linked down below. There's just one more episode left in this series. If you enjoyed, let me know with a like. Subscribe for more, and have a great rest of your day. I'll see you again very soon. Welcome to the final episode of Intentional Gaming. Thanks for making this series awesome. I wanted to wrap with intentional living because the whole point of this series is just to talk about things I've learned as I have approached gaming and my hobbies with, well, microscope the last year and a half, trying to be more intentional with my time and just make sure I'm having fun and enjoying the things that I'm doing. As free time becomes less and less as you get older, you want to make sure that you're like putting your free time and energy into stuff that is rewarding, that is enriching, that is good, and how that fits in with your life. We've covered a bunch in the series: the feelings test, being patient with releases, taking breaks, and replaying games. And that all points to a bigger idea, something bigger than games, the idea of living with intention. Your time is your most valuable resource. You can always go out, make more money. You can't go make more time. And when you really zoom out and realize that, it can change how you see everything. Your hobbies, like gaming. Games are awesome, but they're just one piece of the pie. And I am willing to bet that every single one of you watching has a bunch of different hobbies and interests, and you're all unique, and you bring something unique to the table. And that's why it's important to remember living intentionally is about choosing how you spend your attention instead of letting an algorithm, hype, or somebody else's hot take decide that for you. You know, last year around this time, an article came out that Epos and I highlighted in one of the first episodes of the Dualcom podcast. People are spending more time watching games than actually playing them. And I've thought about this now for a year, and that really bothers me. I understand it, don't get me wrong. The practical, use case makes a ton of sense. We all have a phone in our pocket for the most part. Your job, or maybe you're at school, you're in front of a screen most of the time, and it is just so easy to consume content continually. It is. And I mean, there's irony here because you're watching me on YouTube right now. So I get it. But if you aren't enjoying gaming and you're watching other people play more than you're actually playing the hobby, doesn't that raise some concern or red flags or some thoughts, right? It hit me really hard because I've been there as well. I've had seasons of life where I just leave YouTube or a Twitch stream on in the background all day long. That's probably a decade ago. I really haven't watched Twitch streams in probably 5 or 6 years. Like, it's just not been that interesting to me, but I do get it. There were stages of my life where I was like pretty lonely, and throwing a stream on was really nice. It felt like part of that community feeling, like you were in the room. It was cozy. It was easier to get through the workday or whatever because you were just soaking some stuff up. And there's nothing wrong with that unless it's preventing you, right, from growing, from finding that community, from getting out there and doing stuff. So keep that in mind. But you gotta interact with the hobby in order to know if you like the hobby. If all we do is consume, we stop creating. And I'm not just talking about content. If you just soak up other people's opinions, I do feel like we stop forming our own. If streams or social media become a substitute for real community, you move further away from what you're really looking for. And I don't say that to dunk on anybody. I get it. I've done it. For a lot of people, leaving content on all day feels like company, like having somebody in the room. But it's not. It's not solving that root problem. If you're stuck, endless consumption will not fix that. It will prolong it. It's really hard to seek out connection, to find a community, a friend, a group, whatever it is, local if you can, online if you can't. I mean, like an actual online buddy, right? It has to be real. And when you like engage with a hobby yourself instead of watching other people's opinions and content on it all the time, you start to make up your own thoughts. You can start to share that with other people. The more you consume, honestly, the way the internet works now, the less fun most hobbies become. Think about it. If you spend all day watching streams, by the time you finally sit down to play, you're probably already burnt out on the thing that you were supposed to enjoy. You've spent all day kind of orbiting the hobby without ever actually doing it. And gaming is unique because it has a feeling to it. It's not the same as listening to music or like watching a movie or a show. The way a game feels cannot necessarily be conveyed just by watching somebody else playing it. That's the really cool intrinsic part of mechanics and why a game could look terrible but feel amazing and be super duper fun. And that's why intentionality matters so much. More doing, less consuming, more creating, less echoing, more connecting, less numbing. And all of this can stretch way beyond games. Episode 1, the feelings test. That works with social media or even at work. After scrolling something on your phone, ask yourself, do I feel better or worse right now? And you already know the answer. Patient gaming. It's the same thing as patient living. You don't have to chase every trend. You don't have to buy every shiny new thing. Take your time, save up, and invest in what matters to you. Breaks, same deal. Rest days in fitness, unplugging from screens, giving yourself permission to just be. And replays. Going back to the stuff you already know you love, books, places, routines, whatever. There's nothing wrong with returning to things that are good for you. 2 books I really like that fit into all of this. Cal Newport's Deep Work is all about protecting your focus and diving deep into what matters. And then James Clear's Atomic Habits is about stacking up small, intentional choices that compound over time. For me, something as simple as jotting a note in a journal or making a list at the start of the day works like a mini feelings test outside of gaming. It's just a way to check in and steer things intentionally. At the end of the day, gaming is just the lens that I've been using with this series, but the bigger picture is life. Are you living it intentionally, or are you just floating along on autopilot? Because it's really hard right now to be on autopilot. The way all of these algorithms work in all corners of our world, they're gonna steer you towards just being miserable. Controversy and drama go to the top, and the more you consume, the more you see that stuff. And there is no way, if you're just consuming it all the time, to not feel that mood. And that's why if you just go and do the hobby and maybe disconnect a little bit from the phone, from the screen, from the streams, from even my YouTube videos, whatever, right? Go do the thing and create your own thoughts. That can be absolutely game-changing. I'm a huge proponent of share your thoughts online. There's never been more ways than ever to create content, write a blog. You could share screenshots. You could create YouTube content. You could create shorts, whatever you want to do. There's something awesome with that. Even if it's just a friend group, that's one of the best ways possible. Play a game, take screenshots, share it with your friends through Discord, talk about it together. Choose to connect. Don't isolate and just consume. Live with intention. Don't just drift. So thanks for watching. This was a ton of fun. Thanks for letting me do this weird series. Thanks for supporting the channel over the last year and a half, as I don't know, like I've had a total shift in the way that I view this hobby and every other hobby that I've been doing as I get older here. This will be the last episode of the series for now. Maybe we do a season 2 down the road, but I feel like I'm out of ideas. Like this is just about everything I've learned, I think, in the last year and a half. And I don't have any of this figured out. I could be completely wrong, literally on all points of this. I would love to hear your thoughts on intentional living, intentional gaming, just trying to approach hobbies with a bit more intention. That would be really cool. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day. If you enjoyed, drop a like, subscribe, all the YouTube things, and I'll see you again in the next one. If you made it to the end of the Supercut, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. This series started as just a small idea, trying to be more present, and it turned into something much bigger. If these videos helped you think differently about how you play or how you spend your time, I'm very grateful. The next step for me is a new series called Offline. about what happens when we step away from the constant noise and rediscover life at our own pace. I hope you'll join me. Episode 1 is live. You can click the link on the screen. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you again very soon.